If you are really serious about your content marketing strategy this year, especially if you want to boost your outreach strategy, you really need to pay attention to a few things about keywords this year. So I want to share with you what I have gathered from surveys, conversations, and emails. From hundreds of experts. I want to share with you a few things you need to know about keywords this year. So the first thing is that the exact match is the new broad match. Okay, back in the days, exact match was more granular, and but the thing is that competition has changed in this economy so much that when you think about exact match, you are thinking about broad match. Let's say literally. Okay, so what changed here is that the way the keyword match types work in Google Ads has changed big time. So the definition of exact match used to be ads may show on searches that match the exact term or are close variations of that exact term. That's why it's called exact match. Okay, but for the last 2 to 3 years, actually, since 2021, like around COVID, like in the midst of COVID, okay, basically the definition of exact match has changed a little bit. Now, it ads may show on searches that are the same meaning or same intent as the keyword. So, same name, very different meaning. So you are thinking about what? Same meaning, same intent. Okay, same intent is really important when it comes to outreach. Although this definition switch happened a few years ago, we've only been seeing changes in Google Ads, okay, for the last two to 3 years actually, okay, and it's pretty shocking. So what you need to know here is that as that match basically means that for instance, if you type digital marketing services, this keyword or this key phrase could match to a query for Google Ads agency. So if you say digital marketing agencies, digital marketing services and Google Ads agency, Google is treating the same the those two words or those two phrases as similar, which is a big departure. You also have a phrase match. Ads will show for searches that include the meaning of your keyword, where digital marketing services could match to a query where if somebody is asking for who's the best Facebook ads freelancer. And you also have broad match. Ads will show for searches that are related to the meaning of your keywords, as in digital marketing services. On broad match could serve to a query to branding agencies, let's say in New York or in Atlanta. Okay, so that's a big thing. So the second important thing that you need to know about keywords this year is that negative keywords don't work how you think they do. A lot of experts, a lot of marketers, a lot of I would just say entrepreneurs think that the negative keywords actually work in a specific manner. No, Google announced actually in June 2024 that negative keywords will now block misspellings. Note that as of the date of this show, the About Negative Keywords Help Center article has not been updated to reflect the change. Okay, so what you need to know here is that basically, up until now, if you wanted to block a certain query or a competitor name, you would need to also block every conceivable misspelling to ensure you don't serve an ad where you don't want to, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say you sell Google Ads services, right? And you want to ensure that you don't advertise when people are searching for, say, Google Analytics services. If you didn't want to have that, you would have had to block not only analytics but also analytic without the S, analytics like without the A, okay, analytics, or analytics like instead of Y you have I, etc. Right? It was like playing a game of whack-a-mole with your search terms report, right? And that was pretty painful back in the days too. So what's with this new misspellings update, Google is saying one thing, one clear thing, that the negative keyword analytics will also block all misspelled searches due to improved semantic understanding. They've invested a lot in DL, so deep learning, but also artificial intelligence. So the tool is getting more efficient. Is getting more, I would say, more programmatic, if you will. So it's actually too soon to know if this feature is working as intended for advertisers, for marketers, okay? So while it's powered by AI, some concerns actually include how this will treat brand names that are intentional misspellings, okay, like Krispy Kreme or script, for instance, or words that are homographs, minute time or minute small, or homophones, so add with 1D and add with 2D, or hour and hour. So hour will the possessive, and hour that has to do with time, okay? So this is important to really understand that you basically need to be very careful there. If you think about things you need to know about keywords this year, you can finally, and that's a big finally, you can finally exclude your brand from Performance Max, okay? So basically, the brand exclusions feature has expanded to include all search and Performance Max campaigns, which is really good for marketers across the globe, actually. So let me give you an example. If you don't want to advertise on searches for your brand, a competitor brand, a partner's brand, etc., Google says now it's possible with brand exclusion. So you have the possibility to actually restrict certain brands from appearing in your content marketing. So in the campaign settings for your search or a Performance Max campaign, you can do a lot of things actually. And the best way to go about this is that you want to create a brand list of brands you like to exclude, right? So let's say you do not want to really see your competitors or your partner's brand associated with yours, you can exclude them. So using the branded terms you select as a guide, what Google will do is that Google will use DeepL, so deep learning and artificial intelligence, to exclude you from advertising on all searches related to that brand. And I mean all searches, not just a few searches, all searches. So that's kind of cool. For example, let's say you add YouTube to your brand lists for exclusion. You will not show ads on searches for YouTube, let's say Y Type or even Google Music app, okay? Now, brand exclusions, if you think about it, they're very helpful, but they're not foolproof. Nothing is foolproof anyway, okay? Especially when you think about Google. They're changing their algorithms all the time. You still want to check your search themes report, so PMAX, and search terms report search regularly to ensure no brand variants are slipping through the cracks. Okay, so I mean, we expect this feature to actually continue improving over time, especially as Google is investing heavily in deep learning, but also artificial intelligence. I mean, I think that DL and AI are going to carry these efforts actually very far, going forward. So another thing you need to know about keywords this year, if you're really thinking about your content marketing strategy, is that you can use broad match keywords for your brand campaigns. Okay, and again, this is slightly different from what I said to you at the beginning of the show when I said exact match is the new broad match. Okay, here basically you have the possibility now to use broad match keywords for your brand campaigns. So brand restrictions are now called brand inclusions, and it's really the opposite of brand exclusions, right? Think about it. So let's say if you want to only advertise on searches that are related to a specific brand, you have a lot of possibilities. You now can apply brand inclusions to your search campaign with let's say broad match keywords by using a brand list. So what happens is that you are going to have a category of brands that you can really include. Okay, so since keyword match types have loosened up considerably, it's an interesting new strategy to test to keep your brand search campaigns focused solely on your brand, especially if you are having an exclusive strategy like brand strategy. You want your brand search campaigns to focus only on your brand, or your competitor search campaigns focused on your competitor if you like to, right? That's so you have latitude there. One thing I want to say here is that it's not enough, though. It's not enough to have let's say, a search campaign with broad match keywords. Brand inclusions only work with a broad match setting turned on. So don't forget to actually turn it on. You have to turn it on, and you have to make sure that it's not actually turned off. Let's say randomly. It has to be turned on permanently. So if you accept Google's recommendation to add brand inclusions and turn on broad match, this will change the broad match setting for your campaign. This is why I was talking about the settings part being very critical. Okay, and so basically, one thing you need to understand here is that Google Ads is trying to make money. Google Ads is trying to beef up revenue. That's why they're pushing for broad match as opposed to exact match. Okay, because that gives them more revenue latitude, if you will, more possibilities. Another thing you need to really understand here is that, and this is actually, I really touched about that a little bit before. Google wants to use broad match keywords for literally everything. Okay, they really they want to do it for everything. And again, I mean, listen, I really understand them because they're trying to really increase revenue. They're trying to increase the arena, what I call the avenues for revenue, right? So when you set up a new search campaign, there is actually a section in the settings called broad match keywords. Now that section, I want you to really pay attention to that section. The reason is that basically it has been there for a while. It's not new, right? But what has changed here is that the focus, okay, the emphasis now is big time on that particular section. So this section, again, once again, is not really new, but the default setting is, right? Now, if you have chosen, let's say you have chosen a smart bidding strategy in your Google Ads campaign, it's automatically set to on use broad match keywords for your entire campaign. Previously, it was off use keyword match types. I think even before even before COVID, like 2020, 2019, 2021, it was on off. Now it's on. So you have to turn it off if you don't want it that way. So when you use the campaign level broad match keywords setting, this seemingly small step makes two major changes to how your search campaign runs. Okay, two major changes, and that's going to have a big impact on marketers' budget and strategies across the globe. Actually, the first one is that with this setting on, all your keywords will be treated as a broad match, regardless of whether you have added them as phrase or exact match. So what happens here is that even if you include even if you include match types when typing in your keywords, Google Ads will simply discard your match types when you hit save. Okay, that's the first big change. Second, keywords and campaigns with the broad match settings on, they will be prioritized as if they were exact match. Meaning what? Meaning that they will have the highest priority in the auction, and that's why this will have a budgetary impact. That's what I meant a little earlier. Okay, so the broad match setting is now going to be one of those things you're going to need to check in every campaign you take on, right up there with search partners and display network. Okay, now don't get me wrong though, this setting isn't bad, but it will cause a lot of confusion for you if you're not aware it's on actually. Next thing is that you can use search themes instead of keywords to guide your performance max campaigns. So if you're really serious about your PMAX campaigns and you want to really optimize those PMAX campaigns, you want to really pay attention to search themes. So last year, for instance, Google launched something very interesting. They launched the search themes beta for Performance Max, giving advertisers and marketers the option to add up to 25 words and phrases your customers use to find your offerings to help Performance Max campaigns reach the right audience. Okay, and that's the exact phrase, if you will, that Google actually communicated. So PMax campaigns actually have a search themes report that shows you the type of searches you've been advertising on. So that gives you an idea about the exposure, what I call the exposure realm you're actually appearing on. Now you can use search themes as a campaign input, not just an output. Okay. However, just like an optional audience signal is meant to help guide the automation, ultimately Google will show your ads whenever and whatever it wants to achieve your goals, right? Because the whole thing is that Google wants to help you achieve your goals, but they want to make money in the process too. So they will actually enlarge the performance arena. So search themes are also optional, and they don't guarantee that you will serve ads on those specific searches. So adding search themes to a Performance Max changes your campaign prioritization big time, big time. So when more than one campaign could serve an ad on any given query, exact match keywords in search campaigns still have priority number one, but phrase match keywords, broad match keywords, and PMAX search themes all share priority number two. Okay, so that's actually the major change that you are going to see in your campaign. So in a nutshell, search themes can make your PMAX campaign as likely to serve as your search campaigns. So without search themes, search campaigns will always beat PMAX actually, which is a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing to a certain extent, especially if you are in a niche that's very competitive, where your rivals are using similar strategies, and you want to differentiate yourself. This theme thing can really help you big time, especially from a scalability point of view. So I want to close today's conversation by saying that I just share with you the top 6 things that you need to know about keywords in like this year. It's important to understand that Google is constantly changing the algorithm. Okay, Google is constantly changing its quote unquote robots, its Google Ads robots, and this is because they're constantly investing, as I said before, in DL, deep learning, and AI, or artificial intelligence. And so the thing is that, as you know, Google has come up with its own version of a Chat GPT, and that's going to really they're going to serve that AI tool across all Google assets, including Google Ads. Okay, so given how much has changed in this space over the last 2 years, okay, it's important to understand that Google Ad keywords may evolve in favor of broad match tabs, and search themes over time. Okay, but when you really think about it, keywords are just a part of a larger targeting strategy, right? You're not going to really think that, keywords are everything. No, keywords are just one tool that you can use to reach your goal, if you think about it. Okay. So, like negative keywords, placement exclusions, and audience exclusions will be even more important. Not just keywords, okay? Keyword signals represent additional privacy protection for Google and other based ad buys. So while it's frustrating to lose that lever, basically you have to understand that the negatives actually remain the same. So that's a good thing. Google can be held liable by mounting litigations if that has to go that way. So one thing for sure, you have to really ask yourself, how do you adapt those changes to your own strategy, to your own Google Ads strategy? Okay, it's just better to utilize broad match strategies and first-party data to align with user intent authentically, especially if you are trying to go after a user base that's changing, that's shifting their behaviors all the time. Some users change their behaviors all the time, others not. For instance, if you have users between 18 and 25, like young adults, they are more likely to change their behavior, their consumption attitude more often than if you have folks in their 60s, for instance. So that's something to really keep in mind. So in closing to this conversation, I'll share with you things you need to know about keywords this year. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.